Verse 12, turn back, my daughters, go, for I am too old to have a husband. She's now going to begin a series of justifications for the daughters to consider and to act on concerning a return to their homes. She's already asked rhetorically if she has any sons in her womb. The answer is surely no. Now she tells them that she is too old to have a husband. Now, although this certainly isn't literally true, it is culturally so. She's older, she has already had a husband, and she's had children. And she's beyond the age where any normal possibility within her culture would indicate that a man would be interested in her. She's an elderly lady by society standards, and she's poor on top of that. And so it's an obvious conclusion based on her situation. Verse 12 goes on, if I should say I have hope, if I should have a husband tonight and should also bear sons. Now she raises the level of concern even higher. Suppose that even against the odds of culture and situation, she were to tell them, yeah, I got hope. Come to Israel with me because I have a man who will marry me. Even if this were the case, would she still be able to meet the other obstacles that they're facing? The first is obvious. Would she have children at all? Or is she past the age where that would happen? Secondly, what if she remained barren even after she was of childbearing age? So the first option was, what if she is past that age? But what if she is within that age and she still remains barren? And thirdly, what if she had daughters instead of sons? And fourthly, even if she had sons, would they be like Judah's son, Onan, who refused to fulfill their roles to their dead brothers? The logical conclusion is that there was way too much that would stand in the way of her bearing sons that could actually fulfill this levirate responsibility to either one or both of the daughters. Verse 13, would you wait for them until they were grown? And on top of all of the other uncertainties comes another one which they must personally consider. As she speaks, she states it in parallel thoughts. First, would they be willing to wait despite all of the other unknowns that arise? Even if everything worked out in an exact and perfect manner, would they be willing to wait the many years that were necessary for one of her sons to mature enough to fulfill this duty, right? The questions have been raised to the highest level of impossibility in any possible scenario. In the case of hoping for something from Naomi in regards to family life, there was nothing but her friendship left. And as she was older, it would become an increasingly one-sided relationship, as the daughter or daughters would eventually have to take over more and more responsibilities as Naomi aged. And as a side note, this part of verse 13, it's another gender discord. It's difficult to translate because the term for them, meaning as would you wait for them, meaning sons, is actually feminine. It's feminine. It's not masculine. The son should be masculine. And so that doesn't make any sense. Many translators now translate this as, would you therefore wait till they were grown? The word would then be an Aramaic term, therefore, instead of a Hebrew term for them. And I know that's a lot of information there, but it's very interesting what's going on in these subtle hints which are given in the Hebrew text itself. I was reading a commentary by a professor of Hebrew at a university, and he reads the book of Ruth to his students every single year, and then they do a study on it. And year after year after year after year, nobody has come to a conclusion why these gender discords are in the book of Ruth. And every time somebody thinks they have an answer, it's found out that it's not, because they're very, very peculiar, and they don't all sync. So whatever is going on in here is something that God wants us to learn from. And I've been thinking about it night after night after night. And until we finish this book, hopefully we'll get some insights into it. But these are things that are very important that are included in the book of Ruth that you wouldn't get in your normal English translation.